Hey guys, it's Ken again, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 5, Internment. By far, this was the craziest episode we've seen all season. It was also the best episode of the season. There were some really great performances here, especially from, who's the guy's name who plays Herschel? Whoever plays Herschel gave a fantastic performance here. I thought he did a really great job. And there were some other really great performances besides him, but especially from, Scott Wilson as Herschel, because he really deserves, awards and things like that. So, let's just get into the episode. But just before I start this episode, I'm just going to say it was the craziest episode, and that ending is so big as well. It really is huge, and let's just get into it. So we start off with Rick. We see him, and I really like the way they started this episode. We see how, the first half of this episode isn't as intense as the second half, but they're both, it was still a really great episode, but the first half wasn't as intense as the second half. The second half was a little bit more enjoyable, but the first half was also very enjoyable. So we see Rick. He's coming back from abandoning Carol. It takes place right where it left off. He arrives back to the prison, and he meets Maggie. And she's busy clearing walkers from the fence. And Rick asks about Carl, and Maggie questions him on where Carol is. And he avoids it with another question. And eventually he has to tell her. And she says, Rick, where's Carol? Rick, where's Carol? And eventually he told her that, I had to abandon Carol. And basically he asked if she had done the same. And Maggie actually, I was surprised that Maggie actually thinks this is a good act of judgment. She thinks he did a very good thing here. And I was very surprised by the way she reacted to it. I thought she would not be happy about this at all. But it turns out that he is very, very happy about this. Was a very good act of, she thinks, okay, this was a good thing to do. She says that she really couldn't, she wouldn't be able to actually commit to it, but Rick told her to follow her instincts before leaving, and Rick heads to the administration building where he gives a bag of food to Carl. Oh, there's stuff going on with Rick and Carl, not really important though. Most of the episode that we have to talk about takes place in the sick ward. That's where the biggest part is, and things are they're getting worse. No one is really getting better here. If anything, conditions are worsening. They're worse than ever. More than a few members are getting sick. A survivor, cannot breathe. Herschel inserts a tube into his throat along with an air pump. We see that, Glenn is in very bad shape. Sasha's in very bad shape. And this guy, Dr. Caleb, is in very bad shape. They're all in very bad shape. And also the little girl, Lizzie. She's also in very bad shape. But Sasha and Glenn take shifts pumping air into his throat. Beginning with Sasha, Glenn and Herschel find an infected man dead with blood covering his face from his nose and his mouth. Glenn attempts to kill him when Herschel warns him of not doing it in front of everyone. And when they get out of the cell, Herschel is unable to put him down, and Glenn does so. Later, Maggie comes to visit Glenn through the window, but Herschel tells her that Glenn is resting and tells her to stay out. When Herschel starts closing everyone's cell doors, a man forms out of his cell, suffocating from the blood in his lungs, and then an extremely weak Sasha helps Herschel put him on a bed with wheels before she gets too weak to help him. He wants her to return to her cell, and he brings the body into the room with the window. He fails to put the man down and has to cover his face before he can do it. Rick witnesses Herschel stab the man in the face and tells him of Carol. So, this was very crazy. It wasn't as crazy as the second half of the episode, but we basically see that what's going on is that this way they don't really have to, so people don't really know what's going on in that cell block, so people don't know about this virus. What they're doing is they're stabbing people in the head, so it just makes it look like they died of natural causes. They're not making it look like they died of natural causes. They're thinking that someone murdered them. So basically, that's what they're doing here, and I thought that was pretty intense the way we found that out, but it was definitely a good thing to do, because if people were to find out about this virus, they would probably start leaving immediately. But Herschel then returns to the cell block. He continues closing cell doors, and he sees this clapped Sasha, but he runs to her, leaving a cell with a female walker open, and we do see that there are walkers that are starting to gather around the prison, and this is a pretty big thing, because as you remember in episode 2, that was the main problem, was that there were all these walkers, and, yep, that happens again, and boy, did ever, we'll get to that in a second, though. But Sasha is passed out due to hydration, and he revives her. She tells him how she used to calculate everything to live as long as possible, and that she's thankful for her astute behavior. He then starts to close more cell doors when he spots a father and passed out son in the same cell. The father warns him that he wants to stay by his son's side and locks the cell door, and soon after the man Glenn was pumping air for dies, and when he attempts to call out for help, he starts choking on his own blood, and he passes out. But Lizzie finds him as the man starts to reanimate. Lizzie calls for help, which gets the attention of a female walker behind Herschel. And then this is when the episode got really intense. I mean, after this scene, the episode just so much intensity after this. The female walker jumps on Herschel, pins him to the ground. The father leaves his cell with a gun. His reanimate son follows him. A blonde woman comes to his rescue and pulls a walker off Herschel, potentially saving his life. However, the father's son attacks his father from behind, to which he accidentally fires a gunshot that kills the woman. The gunshot echoes through the prison to Maggie and Rick, who are fortifying the fence. Rick warns her to go help the people in cell block A. But then we see that Lizzie leads the walker away from Glenn. At this point, I'm like, Lizzie, what are you doing? Before I thought she was an idiot for what she was doing, because she's treating the walker like a dog, and they said, wait a minute, she's trying to help Glenn here. So she, it's very interesting to see how that all worked, and she's leading the walker away from Glenn. Maggie arrives and attempts to open the door without success. And by the way, this is when it got really intense here. Herschel gets up, he runs towards Lizzie, who gets pinned by a walker. She almost dies. Honestly, I thought they were just gonna kill her right there. I did. I really thought they were just going to kill her, but they didn't. They didn't kill her, and I was kind of surprised that didn't happen. I thought they were going to have a very big major death. I thought it was definitely going to be Lizzie, but I wasn't. They didn't kill her. Because he sticks Lizzie in Luke's cell, and he goes to get the shotgun from Dr. Caleb. However, he has already turned, and Caleb grabs Herschel as the female walker, who starts to move up the stairs. With sadness, Herschel breaks one of Caleb's arms and kills him. So that was pretty big. Dr. Caleb died. Not really a big major character, though. No, we didn't know much about him, so he wasn't a major character. But he proceeds to kill 3 walkers after leading them out of children's sight. He realizes he needs the air pump and climbs onto the metal fence that the walker from before landed. He ends up getting pinned. Maggie heads to the visitor's room and smashes a window to get into A block. She kills the reanimated father, and the walker that pinned Herschel, and the two head to help Glenn, who has stopped breathing. This was really intense here. I honestly thought that Glenn was going to die here. I really thought they were going to kill him, because I thought, wait a minute, they're not going to kill Lizzie. Would they really kill Glenn? I didn't think they would, but it really looked like at this point that they were going to kill him. I really thought that they didn't really care on the show and that they were just going to kill him. But, so yeah, this was pretty crazy, and we see that he's stopped breathing. He was coughing up blood before. He has a tube down his throat and everything. And then we see that the fence is still there, but somehow the walkers are able to break the fence. And some people were a little bit confused on how this worked. I think it's just because the walkers are so powerful that they were able to break the fence. And then the horde of walkers get in. Rick and Carl run into the courtyard, and they get these rifles and guns, and they kill all of the walkers. Literally, there were thousands of walkers, and they kill all of them. And that scene was amazing. Those two, you really saw that those two have a really strong bond, that together they can do anything. And I thought that scene was amazing, and I really, really loved that part. But right after they finished the van, but then after this, that was definitely really, really big. And luckily that they are able to save Glenn, basically, because shortly after this, Daryl and Michonne run out of the van to get help. Daryl, Michonne, Tyrese, and Bob, they all return. And Bob and Tyrese head to A block. And Tyrese goes and cradles his sister in his arms. And Bob gets administer your drugs to Glenn. Now, the biggest part of this episode is when we have this interesting stuff with Daryl and Herschel. Definitely some very interesting stuff. Oh, but before this, Herschel is just so, he can't believe what just happened. He's so relieved that everything's okay. He just starts, the music is playing and everything. I love the way the music was just playing. And then he comes out and he just starts crying because he just had to do all of that. And he really just put his life at risk for everyone. And Herschel really gets a lot of applause in this episode. The guy who plays Herschel is fantastic. He really gave a great performance here. I thought his performance was fantastic. He really was just great. The whole episode, he blew me away. Really, he did. I mean, I didn't know that was what Herschel was capable of, but Herschel has definitely become one of my favorite characters, especially after this episode. This was definitely his episode. Everyone's saying that definitely it was. But Tyrese goes to Herschel and everything, and he says, no, this was Daryl. He says, what's happening to Carol? And he says, well, I don't really know. Talk to Rick about it. And he says, oh, she's okay. Just talk to him about it. And we see Daryl. Daryl kind of gets this expression on his face like, okay, did Rick do something bad to Carol? Or he gets this expression on his face where you see that he's really upset. So we don't know what's going to happen there. But what we do see is that we see that Rick and Carl are helping out they're getting rid of the bodies and everything. But then we see that outside the prison, we hear this music, and I know everyone knew the familiar music, and we see the return of the governor. The governor's standing there. He's been watching this the whole time, and there's the governor. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I know nothing about the governor. I don't know. I know he's a bad guy. I know he was the main villain in Season 3. Other than that, I do not know what he's capable of because I did not watch Season 3. And I did not watch Season 2 or Season 1 either. So I know nothing about the governor, but I know a lot of people really like the governor. And it seems a lot of people are really happy that he's back. And I think that's great because now they just went through hell in this episode. They went through hell in this. I mean, they had to go through this, and finally this flu virus is over because they found the cure to it, so it's done. And I was very surprised that no one major died. I was very surprised at that. But now that this has happened, now they have an even bigger threat to face because the governor is back. And this is really going to create a lot of tension in this episode. There was so much intensity in this episode, and I think that's what really impressed me was the amount of intensity that this episode had, and the acting was incredible. The story was on fire. The pacing was great. And now we have the governor back. It's really going to affect a lot because now they have an even bigger threat to face. We see this, I mean, in the promo we saw Walker who was about to attack the governor, but the governor's assistant just shot the Walker. So that was pretty cool the way that all worked, and I definitely can't wait to see what else is going to happen here. I definitely think, though, that the governor this is not the first time the governor's been there. I think the governor has been there since episode 2. I think he was the one to tie the rats to the fence. Either that or this Bob Stookie guy is working with him. That's what I think. It's either that he was the one to tie the rats to the fence or Bob Stookie is working with the governor, because we still have that to worry about. We do. And also, do you think Rick will tell Tyrese that he killed Carol? Do you think he'll be able to? I don't think he will, but what do you guys think about that? Also, what's Daryl going to do when he talks to Rick? What do you think he's going to do when he finds out the truth about Carol and that Rick sent Carol away? What do you think Daryl's going to do about that? And also, what is the governor going to create for them? I think that's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen there. And who tied the rats to the fence? Do you think the governor did it, or is Bob Stookie working with the governor? Or is the governor just arriving there right now? What do you guys think? But that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a fantastic episode. Definitely November Sweeps episode. This show is getting so good. And I will see you guys in the next video, which will be my review for Witches of East End. So see you then. Bye.